أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. To this Thursday night program, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your amal, accept your ibadat. In these special nights in which we are going through this holy month of Shabaan, where we celebrate the birth of Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Along with it, many personalities from the household of the Holy Prophet, the Ahl Bayt alayhimu salatu wassalam. And inshallah on this coming Saturday, we will also having a jashan in celebration of the prosperous wiladat of son of Imam Hussain, Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wassalam. Hopefully you'll be able to join us for that live streaming program as well. The ayat that I recited and in the time that I have, inshallah, in the next 15-20 minutes, followed by, we will have the ziyarah. I recited this ayat from Surah Inshiqaq, ayat number 6, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O man, you are striving unto your Lord, and you will meet Him." I chose this ayah because of the time that we are passing through. The word qadh means to strive hard in this ayat, as well as terrifying someone. You know, many of us are terrified. We'll be lying if we said we weren't, based on the statistics that are coming up on daily basis, especially in our own neighborhood. You know, when things are far away, as they were maybe a little over a month ago, we were worried, but we weren't as worried. But as things started creeping closer and closer to us, you know, a person is so selfish that a person makes dua that Allah keep this waba away from, you know, my country. And then when this disease or this virus comes to your country, you say, "Oh Allah, keep this virus or this disease away from my state." When it makes it to your state, you say, "Oh Allah, keep this away from my city." And when it makes it to your city, you say, "Oh Allah, keep it away from my neighborhood." When it makes it to your neighborhood, "Oh Allah, keep it away from my street." When it makes it to your street, "Oh Allah, keep my family and my immediate, you know, family members away from this wabah." You see how this selfishness increases. And we should have been making dua from the very beginning that Allah keep everyone safe from this waba and this disease. So as it gets closer, it becomes more terrifying. It brings this terror, this, you know, this exalted nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this magnitude of the Lord that we worship, that how everyone, regardless of how powerful or how weak you were, you're all kneeling in front of Him. And there's nothing that could be done in front of, you know, the struggle that we are going through at the moment. Because it'll take time. Only with time, you know, we'll be able to overcome this. But while we are going in the midst of it, this is struggle, this is a test. This is where your hearts will be tested. That how many of us complained to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, made shikayat to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how many of us still thanked Him for everything that we have, for the health that we still have, for the food that we still have. How many of us, even when majority of our things are taken away from us, still are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is narrated from a Nabi, I believe. I don't want to name a specific Nabi, probably Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. He narrates that there was a man who was complaining, who said to him that I was, you know, waited and I did sabr and I showed patience until I didn't even have the shoes in my feet. When everything was taken away, all of my wealth, all of my possessions, everything was taken away. I waited, and I showed sabr and patience until the time that when there was nothing left even in my feet, I was walking barefoot. He said, at that moment, I wanted to complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this person must have had a real great deal of patience. He said, as soon as I opened my mouth to go ahead and complain to Allah that, oh Allah, you've taken everything away from me. At that moment, I saw a man who did not have feet. He was crawling on the ground, yet still there was a smile on his face, and seemed that that person was still thankful and satisfied with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, here I'm complaining to Allah that I don't even have shoes in my feet. There's a man who's crawling and does not even have feet. Yet he seems more satisfied than I am. So be satisfied with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you and whatever it is that you still have in your possession. Very quickly, as I mentioned before, I recited this ayat because life will come to an end. This is a transitory phase. We go through this cycle. We see newborns come into this life and some are leaving. It depends how well we spent our life. We will talk briefly about utilizing time properly from the ayat and the ahadith of Masumeen alayhi salatu wasalam, especially in the time that we have a great deal of time, especially when we are, bestowed with abundance of time. How do we go ahead and properly spend it? You've heard these riwayat. I'm just repeating them as a reminder. You've heard them many times. For example, it says, أَنَّ تَفَكُّرَ سَاعَةٍ خَيْرٌ مِّن قِيَامِ لَيْلَةٍ. When you ponder and contemplate for 1 hour, it is better than standing up all night long doing qiyam for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tafakkuru sa'atin. Sit down and contemplate. Nowadays, you have a lot of time on your hand to contemplate. It says, Tafakkuru sa'atin khayrun min ibadati sana. 1 hour of contemplation and pondering is better than the ibadat of an entire year. Wait, it doesn't end there. It says, Tafakkuru sa'atin khayrun min ibadati sittina aw sab'ina sana. In fact, when you sit down and contemplate and ponder, it is superior to the ibadat if you were to perform it for 60 or 70 years. And that's why it says 1 hour becoming a knowledgeable person is better than being a worshipper for 70 years. Having knowledge and having attained knowledge, possessing knowledge for 1 hour, thinking about it, contemplating, pondering, speaking to someone is superior to spending 70 years of your life in the what? In worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are currently in the midst of this pandemic. We find fortunate enough, a lot of us, to have a great deal of time on our hands. Use this time properly. So our topic is how to best utilize our time. What is the best way and the best method of availing the opportunity that has been given to us? Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Inna al-layla wal-nahara ya'milan fika, fa'amal fihima wa ya'khudan minka fakhud minhum. He says, the day and the night affect you. You should also make an impact on a day and night and take something for yourself. Imagine when you rent your, any of your things, or your house, for example, your apartment, for example, you rent it to someone. They come in, they use your room, and then they pay you for it. Day and night are the same way. They are eating up your lifetime. They're using it. Therefore, you should also take something from them and utilize it. So day and time, they are, according to Imam, ya'milan, they are working to take something from you. What are they taking away from you? They're taking away your life from you. Every day that passes by, your life decreases. So when they're taking your life away, what should you be taking? You should be taking the maximum utilization from this day and night. At another place, our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq ﷺ, he said, Al-Maghboon man ghubina umrahu sa'ata ba'da sa'atin. He says, defrauded, deceived is not the one who has lost his business, or he has been, as the market is crashing and people are worried about their retirement funds and their 401ks, or people who had invested a great deal in the market and the shares have gone down. Imam says, no, the one who has had any loss in business is not the one who lost his property, wealth, or his car. Rather, it is someone who has burned moments of his life and has gained nothing out of it. So, everyone will burn moments of their life. But would it be better to go ahead and use while those hours are being burned? Imagine someone who earned all. That's why the Holy Prophet reminded Abu Dhar. I shared this tradition with my students of Jafriya school as well, that the Holy Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, said, Ya Abu Dhar, ni'matan maghboomun fihima katirun minan nas. There are two favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Majority of the people are at loss when it comes to these two. As-sihhatu wal faragh. Your health, your well-being, and faragh mean when you are free, when you're not as much occupied. Then he said, Ya Abu Dhar, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. O Abu Dhar, make sure that you utilize 5 things before these other 5 things, because you will be facing all of these 10 things. So make sure that you utilize the first 5 before the last 5. What are they? He said, Shababaka qabla harabik. Your youth years before you get old. And then you will be turning back and looking back on those youth years while you can't go back to them because now you're old. There are so many things that our youth can do that as you get older, you're unable to do. Physically speaking, even spiritually speaking, a youth would be able to accomplish much more than an elderly would be able to do so. That's why when you get old, you rely on others for even the smallest of the things. But when you're in your youth years, you're able to do whatever it is you want to with your own, without the help of any other individual. So Prophet said what? O Abu Dhar, make sure that you utilize your youth before you get old. وَصِحَّتَكَ قَبْلَ سُقْمِكَ. Use your health, or understand the value of your health before you fall sick. That is the alimiyah, that is the sad part, that we realize about these things when it's too late. We realize it, what happened to this country. This country is supposed to be first world countries, right? On the list of those. But the pandemic that affected many other nations, for whatever reason, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep everyone protected, for whatever reason, their numbers are stagnant, which is a good thing. It's not rising. But you see the horrifying numbers every single day as they are increasing. In our own neighborhood, New York and within New Jersey, it seems like every 3 days, the numbers are doubled. How quickly the chart and the figures are rising. I'm sure everybody has that saved, and first thing in the morning when you wake up, you look at, okay, how many more cases? How many more cases? How many more were tested positive for coronavirus? How many lost their lives with the battle that they had with coronavirus? Every single day these numbers are increasing. We're supposed to be advanced as far as the technology is concerned. We should have all the supplies ready. For whatever reason, we find part of it is people not paying attention to, the physicians' recommendations, CDC recommendation, government's initiatives. When they have said stay at home, I guess people did not listen to that initially. And when they didn't pay attention to that initially, That's where this all picked up. And it's all just the residue now, how it's spreading. So this is something which partially is also our fault. While there may be other factors that they're unable to meet the requirement and they're overwhelmed, and there may be shortage of supplies and all that stuff, but at the same time, partially it was also our duty to listen to the commands, listen to the instructions by those in authority, and not venture out. And I think that's what happened in New York City, aside from many other elements that may be also part of it, but that we did not play our part. When do we realize? When we felt sick. Rasulullah said, "Sihatika qabla suqmik." Make sure that you cherish your health before you fall sick. And everybody, one time or another, not this sickness, but sickness is something which is part and routine of our lives. We catch common cold, we get sick, some people have some other chronic illnesses, other things come up which then fade away afterwards. But we feel that when we are sick, only then we realize the value and the worth of being healthy. How much do you miss being healthy when you are sick? When you can't taste the food, for example, when you can't get up and walk around normally, when you're bedridden, when you're constantly visiting the hospital. No offense to the doctors, well, that's their duty to go to the hospital every single day. But as a patient, how much do you despise it? But we realize the value of it when we are no longer healthy. Number 3, Prophet said, وَغِنَاكَ قَبْلَ فَقْرِكَ. And cherish your wealth until you become poor. This requires an entire explanation, and I'm running out of my time. As to what does he mean, غِنَاكَ قَبْلَ فَقْرِكَ? Ghina does not literally mean, it does not have to be your monetary wealth, your finances. A lot of people only limit ghina with that. But it could mean it over here, that make sure that you use your property, your wealth properly when you're unable to use it. That means when you have lost it. Because these things may not remain for you forever. This is a transitory phase of this world. Everything in this alam al-takween, in this maddiyat, in this temporary abode, is limited. When this entire universe is temporary, everything within it is also temporary. So the wealth that we have today is temporary. It may not be with us tomorrow. Therefore, how you use this wealth is where the wise person will come and tell you. How you use this health is where a wise person will come and tell you. How you use your youth years, a wise man, a wise person will come and tell you that. So use your wealth properly. In this day and age, in this time that we live in, a lot of people are struggling. They're going through financial struggles. And alhamdulillah, in this institution of ours, Masjid Ali, we've been blessed that a lot of people make generous donations in order for us to look after other people. And I'll be very candid and honest about it, because I've been dealing with the help that we provide to the poor community members. The applications have been overwhelming. A lot of people required assistance at this moment. We've given out so much money from our Sahm Sadat and our Sadaqah and other funds that we have dedicated for this purpose. But eventually these funds run out. And when they run out, we're no longer able to help the people. People are shy of asking others, but they're more comfortable asking an institution like Masjid. And therefore they come and they send their application. They expect that we take care of them. And we've been, alhamdulillah, blessed with it, and we've been doing all right. But now, because we've been overwhelmed in these past week, 2 weeks, that's where we start seeing that the funds also thin out. And therefore it is requested, while you are making donations to different places, different causes, different organizations, NGOs that are working for supporting people who are struggling, providing for them, make sure that you don't forget us either, because we are also playing a major role in providing locally. A lot of us, we are making donations so that we can support poor families in Pakistan, in Iran, in India, in other countries that we may come from, where we see that the people are really needy. But over here, there are people who are needy as well. Over here, there are people who are struggling as well. Over here, it's very difficult for people to make ends meet. And therefore, it is through your donations, through your generous contributions towards those funds, which is Sahm Sadat, which is Khums, which is other donations like Sadaqah funds and other contributions, which are only dedicated for helping out the community members. Not for the masjid, not for the construction of the masjid, not to pay off the bills of the masjid. That fund is separate, only dedicated. And inshallah, in the coming days, hopefully when everything returns back to normal again and we're all over here, inshallah, we'll present the graphics and how much, in these days, in these difficult times, through your contributions, we were able to help out fellow brothers and sisters and mu'mineen and mu'minat. So, therefore, keep that in mind as well. How do you spend your wealth? That was where the discussion began. The Holy Prophet said, غِنَاكَ قَبْلَ فَقْرِكَ. Make sure that you use your ghina, your wealth, before you become faqir. If you become faqir and you have used your wealth properly, then you'll never become faqir, first of all. If you have used your wealth properly and distributing it to the right places and utilizing it properly, then you'll never be considered faqir. Not in this world and definitely not in the hereafter. And therefore, that's where this will make sense that the Holy Prophet is saying these 5. Now, I'll just conclude, as I've taken too much time of yours in this third one. غِنَاكَ قَبْلَ فَقْرِ. He says, وَفِرَاغَكَ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ. And make sure that you use your free time before you're occupied again. Alhamdulillah, many of you are still working from home, getting your jobs, doing your jobs. You're still performing your job, and you're taking care of the things that you do in normal schedule. You have this opportunity and you're blessed with it. A lot of people aren't. Those who are, for example, those who drive taxis, those who drive Uber, Lyft, all of these, they don't have any job right now. And the same thing goes for other, workers, those who are, for example, working at the restaurants, those who are working as cashiers, those who are working in other stores. They've been laid off. They don't have any job anymore. So these are the people that we need to look after, take care of. Prophet says, فِرَاغَكَ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ. Utilize this farigh time. And even those who are working from home. It's not the same productivity sometimes when you're working from your office. So, when you're working from home, maybe you work 4 or 5 hours instead of 8 hours, for example. He said, فِرَاغَكَ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ. Utilize your firagh, your fursat, your free time before you become occupied again. Inshallah, this ends very soon. Hopefully, this will end within a month, inshallah. And when this is over, when we're out of it, while we'll be thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're coming back to our routine again, but you look back at this time that we are going through right now, when we are, occupied with and terrified, some of us, you look back and say, well, I had so much time in my hand. I didn't have to worry about going anywhere. I was doing my work from home. Kids were home. We had a lot of time in our hand, and we wasted it. We did not properly use our time. We did not make good use of the time that we have had available. So here we pause and we think and we ponder. The Holy Prophet over here says, the last thing, وَحَيَاتَكَ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكَ. And make sure that you utilize your hayat, your life, before what? Before maut comes upon you. Hopefully the feed is going all right. I think so. That you utilize your life before death comes upon you. This is just the repetition of previous one, so I won't spend too much time of it. As it is, I have run out of my time. A lot of people, they live a long life. yet they still don't fully benefit from their life. Our fourth Imam, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, in his dua Makarim al-Akhlaq, Imam says, he says, وَعَمَّرْنِي مَا كَانَ عُمْرِي بِذْلَةً فِي طَاعَتِكَ. Oh Allah, give me a long life. He's not asking for a short life. He said, give me a long life. Long life as long as this life is spent serving you and in your obedience. But if this life is not in serving you and is not in your obedience, then I don't want a long life. I'd rather not have a long life. But Imam is making dua for long life. Long life, so, a lot of people make this dua. May Allah give you a tule umr. Allah aapko tule umr de. May Allah give you a long life. We mention the name of our maraji, we say, Hafadhahullah. May Allah keep them protected or give them a long life. Alhamdulillah, they get to live a very, very long life. May Allah give them a long life. When we speak of someone who's sick, who's bimar, who's mariz, we say, well, may Allah give you a long life. May Allah protect you. He said, yeah, giving a long life, according to Imam, according to Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq, he says what? He says, a life which is spent in serving you and is in your obedience. There was a lot of other discussion in this reference, but I will refrain from going into all of that. Inshallah, I will try and discuss these things on Saturday night during the jashan that we have, celebrating the prosperous birth of our third Imam's son, Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wassalam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards the end that, this world, it's according to hadith, it says, ad-dunya sa'atun, faj'alha ta'atun. He said this worldly life is only a few hours. It seems like it's a long, long time, but it's only a few hours. So make sure when you have few hours in your hand, what are you going to do? I don't want to scare people off as if, death has come upon us. But look at the life from this perspective, and you will then be able to cherish this life properly. Imam also said that I don't like to see a young person unless he is in one of the two situations. Either he is learning or he's already learned and he's already an educated person. He wants to see you only on two situations and not a third one. Either you are on your way to learning and becoming well educated, or you have already earned and attained education and you're already well educated. He said these are the two situations that I want to see an individual in. Therefore, use your time wisely, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the tawfiq, that we're able to go through this difficult time, pass through it with ease. Yes, some of us are struggling, but this is where others need to step up, step in, and make sure that we hold the hands of those who are struggling, so that tomorrow, if we are ever in need, these same people will be able to hold and hang on to our hands. Wa akhiru da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu salluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.